Bryant dribbling, has to put it up with the buzzer, banks it in! He banks in the three! And the Lakers win the game!
Good morning, Syndicate members. What's up? What is going on? It's Wednesday. It's 9 a.m. We're in Austin, Texas. You know what that means. We're here for Winning on Wednesday. My name's Tony Merwin. That dude over there is the king of trucking insurance, the king of Facebook groups, the Jolly Ginger Giant, Joe Camper.
You know it. You know it. Good morning, everybody. Good morning. Hope y'all are having an amazing start to your week. Hey, real quick, just quick reminder, I believe it is in the description right above this, but if you can, just for Facebook user here, we want to be able to get your name up on the show. Make sure and hit it, StreamYard.com/Facebook. 2 clicks and we can get your name up. But good morning. Good to see you, Aaron. Hey, Melissa. What up, Adam, Todd? What's going on? Hope you guys, again, are all having an amazing start to your week. I know I am. And that's I'll kind of get right into it, man, because you guys know how really, I guess technically isn't Sunday like the first day of the week, so it's like technically I guess I started my week freaking training out with Andy Elliott, and that's definitely my weekly win. It was freaking something else, y'all. I've never been, and you guys know I obviously go to a lot of trainings, a lot of sales events, a lot of conferences. I ain't never been to anything like this before, but it was amazing. Unlike anything I've ever really done before, and just kind of going through some of his, I was going to read some, but I'm going to save it for my sales guys. We were going to do it today before the show, and then Hanky had something go on with his car. So I'm saving it because I don't want to share it with you guys before I go through it with my sales guys. But I got tons of notes. And that's kind of, so my win was, and kind of, you know, my challenge to y'all, and I don't know if it's necessarily open to y'all because I think it was only for people at the event. But I literally watched this guy. I watched the guy make almost $400,000 before freaking lunch. It was, and I was the first person to sign up too. And so it is called the Extreme Revolution. And so really, guys, think of it kind of, and Andy's super smart to do this. Think of it kind of like the 75 hard, right? So there's kind of some workout stuff in there. There's some dieting stuff. You need to read 20 pages from a book every single day. But here's what I love about Andy Elliott, man. He goes, it's 100 days straight, guys. He goes, you know, like on the 75 hard, how if you mess up, you can start over. He goes, dude, if you miss a day, like, don't even fucking call me. He's like straight up 100 days. And I'm like, you know what, dude, I'll take it. Right. I've been trying to really get back on the wagon when it comes to working out, taking better care of my body, all these things that, again, I think, especially for Medicare agents right now, I'm sure y'all, I know you guys, I think tomorrow, is the last day for you guys. We get stuck kind of in the motion, right? And just going through the movements. And then sometimes, man, we forget to kind of take care of ourselves. So I went ahead and signed up. It was like $9.97. It's that, but then we also get a free event in May, but it's 100 days straight. So it starts in January 1. We're already getting kind of emails on just, hey, here's some things you can kind of start to do to prep. But like, I'm going to do it. And I'm trying to get, if you're watching this, I'm going to try and get Maria to do it with me as well. But I'm going for it, man. And I think a lot of us, in myself included, man, sometimes we just need some accountability, right? And just that piece of like, hey, I'm trying to kind of be in this guy's network and tap into his sphere of people, right? That sphere of influence. I ain't going to be the guy that says that doesn't check it off on the calendar, that doesn't do it, right? So I'm excited to push myself. That's my weekly win. If you guys haven't checked out Andy Elliott, you freaking need to. The guy, don't get me wrong, he may rub you the wrong way a little bit. He may push some buttons. He swears up and down the freaking room. I mean, he does a lot, but it was awesome, man. So that's my weekly win. And I'm definitely looking forward to getting back there in May. So
you have to read 20 pages?
At least 20 pages a day. Yeah.
Do you have any books that have more than 20 pages?
Shut up. He said no comic books. I was like, damn it, dude. I'm gonna have to go to the library. And it's no audiobooks. I think that was the important piece too. Like it's like having the discipline of, hey, guess what? You can't just throw in an earbud and listen to a little bit of a book, right? It's like we have to be like sitting down and we need to be reading a book. So I'm excited for that. 20 pages of pictures. Exactly, Todd. Mr. Merwin, what you got for your weekly win, man? How's Medicare going? You guys are almost there.
Yes, and that is my weekly win, man. We are right at the end of AEP. We got today and tomorrow left. I was taking some time just looking over some numbers and what's going to look like, how we're going to finish up AEP and kind of what our numbers are going to look like coming out first quarter, because I'm trying to plan out my first quarter marketing budget, actually first and second quarter. So we're going back heavy at events. We're going to keep our Facebook marketing obviously primed because that's what's killing it for us. But I've got a whole schedule here of all these events that I'm planning out for next year. So you may have remembered a few weeks ago, a month or so ago, I don't remember, it was right before AEP started. I was at an event with Senior Expo USA. They had rented out a big section of the Cedar Park Center, had a bunch of people come through, and it was everything from selling wheelchairs to RVs and assisted living, yada, yada, yada. So they posted their schedule for all of next year, and I've already got a handful of events marked. And then our goal is to go to those events, but also schedule dinner seminars, educational Medicare 101 seminars on the same night that event is there, so that not only
smart
meet the people in market, but we can push more people to our dinner event, prime it up, gangbusters, fill up a room, introduce a bunch of people to Medicare, and make a bunch of new friends and clients. So super excited about that. And just, there was a nice smile that came across my face when I looked at some of the numbers that are our projected deposits for January to help us kick off Q1. Everything looks great. Winning.
Good. Good. Love it.
Insert Charlie Sheen gif. Winning. That's where we're at.
Wow. No, we haven't ever even brought in the Owen Wilson. Wow. Winning on Wednesday. Well, I love it. You're talking about seminars, right? And I know, guys, you guys are in for a great show. Dallas is somebody we're getting ready to bring him on, but just an amazing dude, very talented in what he does and has been for years. And so I'm super excited to bring him on the show. So without further ado, guys, if you could give us a nice warm welcome, drop your weekly wins in the comments as well, but give my man, Mr. Dallas Keithley, a nice warm welcome. Welcome to the show, brother.
What's going on, dude?
Dude, guys, that intro with the Kobe, you're lucky I still have a shirt on. I mean, honest to God, that is unreal. I need money back for the rest of my seat because I am just on the edge of it. I have been all week since Tony called me and said, hey, I want you to be on Winning on Wednesday. Life's goals are complete, man. This is it. So, man, thank you guys very much. Appreciate you having me on.
Well, it's definitely a pleasure to have you on. We've both Joe and I are big fans of you, right? We've all become friends because we run around in the same circles sometimes. And I remember you sent me a text maybe a couple of months ago or so. It just sent me a little text that said, "I miss you," or "I miss us."
I miss us. Buddy. Yeah, like I won't go into detail. I was going to go into a bunch of intimate detail, but I don't know what this show is rated.
Save that. You know what I mean? Save that.
Yeah,
save that.
No.
Well, man, take a quick moment and just tell everybody who you are, right? And kind of what the story is with Mr. Dallas Keithley.
Yeah. And I love the wins, man. Here's the thing. A lot of us, I get back. I heard this here a while back. I look back at we go to a lot of events, right? And I heard a gentleman speak and he said, you want to find out what kind of person you are, look at your text messages. He said, everybody get your phone out. Go back through your text messages. How many of are complaining? And I'm like, my gosh, there's a lot. So I love the wins. Our big win this week is we're moving. We are moving into a new 25,000 square foot space. Look at this conference room that we've got set up here now. The big logo on the back. It's pretty sweet.
This is the new facility that you're moving into.
This is the new facility. Like I'm here today. This is why I'm dressed like this. I'm hanging TVs and putting together chairs, and we're just doing anything that needs to be done. And I've learned a long time ago from George Costanza, you carry a clipboard and look irritated and people leave you alone. So that's what I'll be doing through the move. But no, man, I've been in the business for 22 years now. Worked with Brian Askins entire time. I failed
Come on.
twice at it. So I don't want to be, because so people, every time I tell them I've been in the business 22 years, they're like, so how many yachts do you have? I'm like, no, I've failed 2 or 3 times. So I've, really about 2013 was when it really took hold for me. I learned about a young man named Cody Askins and started selling some final expense with him at Mutual of Omaha, and learned what a system was. I think the number one reason agents fail is they do not have a system. And so we learned what a system was. We learned how to consistently get in front of people, but not to take it back. I grew up as a missionary kid in Papua New Guinea. Right above Australia there. Was there till I was 17 years old, came back. I'm from a small town, Spokane, Missouri. Go Knights, right? And then got into, like many insurance agents do, my degree is in church ministry. I've been a waiter at a restaurant. I've been just construction, whatever I could to help pay the bills while I was supposed to be writing insurance. And so I've done a lot of different things, but finally, 2013, got into Mutual of Omaha. 2014, we got out of the captive world, got into the independent world, started Secure Insurance Group. There was 5 of us, me, Brian, Cody, Ty James, and one other agent, Sean Powell. And man, we ran with it. And now we've got this year, I really think my goal for 2024 is to hit 5,000 agents. And I think we will do it. I really think we can.
Come on.
We're about
Let's
20. Go. We're at about 2,500 now. The lights just went off. I don't know if they're motion activated, but it just got romantic up in here, right? But we're at about 2,500 now, 2,000, 2,500, and my goal is to hit 5,000.
Wow.
We merged with Roger Short, Chris Ball, all those guys, Zach McElwain, and formed Impact Legacy Group, and I get to go around and tell people about it. I got the easiest job in the world, recruiting, so it's pretty cool.
So is that what you do full time there? You're just in charge of the recruiting and bringing agents in, getting them going on board?
Yeah, I bring agents in and really, here's the thing. If you want to build an agency, I found out if I want to get to 5,000, I've got to have teams underneath me because I can't answer phone calls from 5,000 agents. They think I can. All the agents do, right? But no, we enjoy it. But we've got to have teams. And Brian, we show something. I tell people all the time, when you're ready, and that's an important word, build a team underneath you, because if you want to add to your bank account, write policies. If you want to multiply your bank account, build a team, right? Teach other people to do what you're doing.
100.
Yep. I'm going to wave my arms. So I don't know what's happening in here. I'm going to go hit a light. Okay, whatever.
Okay.
We're good.
No, you're good.
Fine.
You can go hit a light. We don't care, man. Yeah, you're good.
I like it.
I have a question for you, right? And again, guys, we're going to kind of wrap up the show really talking about the marketing that goes alongside recruiting, right? And really sharing that opportunity. I love what Roger Short says a lot of the time is, hey, come and see, right? Just come and see. Just come and see, right? So but ultimately how to maintain that talent as well, right? But I want to go back because you said, man, I failed a couple times. I was doing kind of anything to make ends meet. And then whatever it was, man, that day, and I'm sure you probably remember the day very vividly, and probably the date, maybe even down to the day, in 2013, where you're like, you know what? It finally just, boom, it hit.
Yeah.
What was that? What was that light switch? What was the trigger? What was it that, man, this day I'm all in on this thing? And then obviously now you went from, hey, I'm slinging final expense with a couple people to now we've got, thousands of agents with us. What was that? Man, yeah.
I was frustrated, man. I really was, because I'll tell you, I know how to work. I got called. So my high school basketball coach at our athletic banquet called me lackadaisical, and he did it in like a list of words. And I went home and looked it up, and I'm like, son of a bitch, that's not a good word. I really thought it was part of the praise. And I'm like, lackadaisical just means lazy. And so unfortunately, it was my senior year of high school, and I'm sure we had looked up lackadaisical in the past, and I just didn't pay attention. But I'm telling you, I vowed then and there, no one will ever call me lazy again. Like, I will go to great lengths to never be called lazy again. And so I knew how to work. Man, I've scraped cow crap out of cow pens. I have poured concrete. I've roofed. I've hung siding. I've done hard jobs. I've hung sheetrock, and I'm sitting there, and I would tell my wife, I'll be the first one in. I'll be the last to leave, right? I know how to work hard, and I come home frustrated, and I didn't know what I was doing wrong, but then it hit me. Like we've got this big, nice new office here, right? Nobody's going to walk in off the street and say, hey, y'all got any of that insurance? Nobody's doing that, right? You've got to have a system to get to people. I mean,
Yes.
Tony Merwin's the greatest connector I've ever met. And the dude says, hey, we're planning out our first quarter to get in front of people, right? We got to have educational events, and we got to go to these events, and we got to go out there and see people. And so when it clicked for me was when I realized that I had to have a system, and I had to have the determination. For us, the number was 15. I have got to sit down and tell my story to 15 people a week. Okay. And I've got to treat it like, it's kind of like when I've played on a lot of basketball teams, stuff like that. And I know everybody that looks at me is like, that's a basketball player, right? 5'9" white dude, that dude can tear it up. And 5'9" is an exaggeration. But I played on a lot of teams, and I've coached a lot of basketball teams. And every time at half, I give this speech, whether we're down by 30 or we're up by 40, it's 0-0. Mm-hmm. So even after I write a big sale, or I just blew the biggest sale in history, when I walk out of that house, it's 0-0. I've got to get in front of 15 people. And if I don't sell the next person, I'm going to die. And if I don't get in front of 15 people, like we've been door knocking on Saturdays before, because I've sat down and talked to 12 people. And my wife would say, Dallas, you guys made $10,000 this week. I'm like, I don't care. We've talked to 12 people. We've got to get to 15. That's because, listen, Nate Offert told me, he looked at my color chart, the SWOT and all that stuff, right? And he said his exact words, my green was an 11. And it was because I lied a couple times, because I knew I should have some organizational stuff in there. But he looked at my chart. He goes, my gosh, son. He goes, you would rather have an STD than a spreadsheet. And I said, that's 100% right. Right. Like, and so I hate the numbers. I hate the planning quarterly. I hate that stuff. So I know that everything is a means to an end. If I sit down with 50 people, the end will be there.
Yeah.
Right. I don't have to worry about average sale and cost of acquisition. Sit down with 15 people. The end will be there.
Yeah.
Right? So
I love that focusing on an activity goal versus a money goal.
Yeah, exactly.
During your week, right? I mean, we can have some money goals long-term, et cetera, whatever, but I think that's beautiful that your focus is, hey, I'm going to sit with 15 people this week, no matter how much money I make.
Yep.
If I blow out my money goal on the fifth person, a lot of people that just have a money goal would be like, cool, I'm done.
Right. Well, you're going to have a bad week next week.
Right. And then what happens next week when you only sit with 5 people and you make $0 and you don't have that work ethic trained to continue and hit 15?
Exactly.
So that's beautiful that you always have a activity goal. So then you always hit 15, you have a built-in work ethic, boom, and then the money will always be there.
Yep.
Period.
So question. I want to go just one level deeper on this, right? So you're talking about, hey man, when the switch finally flipped, right? And we've heard this word now, I think 5 or 6 times, even in the 18 minutes that we've been live here. It's system and processes, right?
System and process.
In your opinion, right? And again, what's crazy is thinking about probably for you being in with the asking, like for 22 years, seeing how that system and process has evolved and changed, right? To you and what you've seen in the 22 years of kind of doing this thing, right? Is what makes this is kind of broad, but I want you to kind of elaborate a little bit on it. What makes a system, what makes a process work? Like, what is it, the piece, like, what is the piece of the system that's like, man, without this, none of it works, right? What is that to you, or what have you seen that really helps agents have success within, we'll say a system?
I think it's 2 things. One, Tony mentioned work ethic. Whatever you're going to do, commit to it. Now, I think you need to have a timetable that you're going to sit down and say, okay, is this working? Right? Like, make it quarterly. It can't be hourly, right? Like, a lot of people, it's hourly. They're like, well, I made 42 calls that hour. Nothing worked, right? So I'm going to try something else. So we get the sparkly thing, but it's work ethic. And then the second part is not having shiny object syndrome. And guys, I think I heard this. I think it was actually at Medicare Con. Nothing works 100% of the time, but everything works a little bit. Yep. Right. Yeah. And so what we'll do is we'll sit there and we'll be like, gosh, Bob over there is writing debt-free life stuff, and he's killing it over there. I'm going to go try that a little bit. And so we get in and that didn't work. So Mike over there is writing long-term care policies, so I'm going to go do that. Oh, look at the final expense. I think everybody needs to be a master of something, right? Like we're known as a Medicare office. Our goal in AEP over our office was to write 15,000 Medicare plans, and we're going to get close. But if you told me today, Dallas, you've got to go out and make money, you've got to, like your family, that's a little hard, but you know what I'm saying? Like you've got to make money. Yeah. I'm selling final expense. It's still buried down deep in my soul. Right. Like I love me a good roach infested home. Like, give me that. Those are my people. And
I've never door knocked. I've only ever been telesales.
Have you ever thrown away clothes in the middle of a day? No. You are missing out.
What? Okay. Jerry, you have to share the story. You have to share the story. What was the story where you had to throw away clothes?
Have you ever shoved Ben Gay up your nose or Vicks up your nose so you would? You've never lived, brother. Okay. Cody and I went in the house. This was it was in Mount Vernon, Missouri. I'll take you there if you want to. It ought to be set up as a museum. We went in a house, and this is the God's honest truth. We opened the door. Nobody else is watching this, right? We're not like, I'm hoping this guy didn't become an insurance agent.
It's on the World Wide Web, so everybody's watching.
All right. We go in, and I didn't put Ben Gay in. And I do. Literally, the guys, there's houses that I would shove Vicks up my nose because when you walk in, there is an odor that only 15 cats can produce. And
gosh.
This is God's honest truth. It's a nice little house. It's a little house, but it's a nice little house. And the lady opens the door, and she looks well kept. And she goes, yeah, come on in. And we walk in, and I said, ma'am, I just want to thank you. And she turns around. And I said, I'm sorry. I swallowed down the wrong pipe. And you guys, this house was not as big as this conference room. And there were more animals than I've seen in my entire life. I counted 17 cats and 9 dogs.
Oh my God.
Right. And this dog, I go and I look at the couch and it's moving, and I'm like, so I set one cheek. It was my right cheek right on the very edge of the corner of the couch cushion. Right. And Cody plops down on the couch, and I'm like, oh, dude, this is going to be bad. And this dog comes in the room, and it sees me. And for the entire time we're there, it just sits there at my foot and goes, and I'm like, I go, is he okay? She goes, just don't make real sudden movements. I'm like, awesome. And I've got a pistol in my bag. I'm like, should I pull it out? Like, he's growling. That's the equivalent, right? And, but we're sitting there, and I look down, and there are roaches and bugs crawling from my leg to the floor, up and down. Like, I have just become interstate for insects. And, yeah, I could go on. It was bad, fellas. It was bad.
Hey, yeah, but here's the question: was the policy sold though? Did you guys get the? Did you get the deal? No,
we couldn't put them in a better situation. Yeah, they couldn't health qualify.
I'm not missing out.
Listen, I'm telling you, Cody and I always had the 5 parts of a meeting, warm up, and all that stuff. That was a very quick one.
Yeah,
we figured out very quickly we can't help them.
Yeah. Let's go. All right, we're hitting 16 houses because this one doesn't count. Super quick.
But that's crazy. What? That's the one I remember today. So,
yeah. I have similar stories.
Yeah, it's a good time, man. You're missing out, Joe.
Absolutely, dude. If you've never been grabbed by the collar and escorted to the curb and dropped off again, you haven't sold insurance yet.
Yeah, I do have some crazy calls. I will say I do have some crazy recorded calls. Like I have one that's been going for, I think it was my first call of the day, and it was like 7. I love how we're squirreling on this too. But guys, especially if you're a new agent, we're just prepping you. Get freaking ready, man.
I've had 2 guns in my face.
I had this guy call.
I haven't had a gun in my face.
I mean, it's crazy times, man. I freaking love it. All right, so I want to come back to this though, right? So we're talking about just getting out there, right? And really that's part of it. I think you said, when you're ready, build a team. Sometimes you got to go through freaking those types of houses and those types of situations to kind of, again, get ready, right? Get your feet wet, really get out there and start selling insurance. Or I love that you said, man, it's been how many years since I sold final expense, right? Because I'm showing other people how to do it.
Mm-hmm.
But then, man, my back's against the wall, dude. I can do it still with my eyes closed, right?
Yep.
And that's because, again, you said master something, right? And I love that you said that because, again, there's a lot of people out there that are the jack of all trades and the master of none.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So I think I hope you guys got that, because that's super important, is that you got to work at it. You know, Brian Moore said it, if it works, you work it. Right. And hey, all I know is that I got to hit 15, well, maybe 16 that week, right, to get out of that roach infested house. But now my question is, what makes an agent ready? Right. You said, like, so when you're ready, like, what is, again, kind of like going back to that switch for you in 2013, what was the switch of like, okay, now I'm ready to really share this opportunity, right? I'm ready to come and see, guys, come and see, or I'm actively, going out and telling people about it. What do you think makes an agent ready to start building a team? And I know, again, that's kind of broad, but I want to kind of break that down in a couple places.
Well, so one, there's levels of education. There's the education of I can pass a test, right? Hopefully we've all been through that. There's the education of I can present this. Then the third level of education is the education of I can teach someone else how to do it. When you get to that point, then you're ready to go. I'm not, guys, I'll never say a bad word about another FMO, IMO agency or anything like that. Some of them push my limits, right? But I think one of the things that's killing our industry is, hey, come work in the insurance industry. Day one, here's your agenda, pass your test. Day two, go get 30 people. Because it is burning out a lot of people in the insurance industry. You guys, I don't know how many people walk in the door and they're like, hey, listen, I'm going to give this one more try. My wife's going to divorce me if this doesn't work, but I've been with this agency, and this agency. And I'm like, okay, let me ask you, how did they train you? They're like, they threw me a video.
Right.
It doesn't work.
No,
it doesn't work. And so to answer your question, when do you know you're ready? It's when you've got that level and when you have a system that you can plug someone in. When I started doing recruiting a couple years ago, a buddy of mine or Brian came to me and he said, hey, I want you, these are his exact words. And I've told him this story. He said, I need a Tony Merwin. And I'm like, I don't know what a Tony Merwin is. Right. But he said, I need a Tony Merwin. He said, I need people to get out there and tell the story of who we are, what we do. And basically, like you said, tell them, come and see. And so I really thought when I talk to people, their first question is going to be, how much comp can you give me? And I still get that one. And I don't talk very long to those people because if you recruit on comp, they'll leave for comp. Right now, we give great comp.
Great.
But I always thought that's going to be the number one question. So I'm out there learning, commission schedules and all that stuff. I don't get that question very often. The question I get from people that are frustrated and really want to make it in the business are, how are you going to get me in front of people? Which another word for that is, what's your system? You know? Yep. And so I sit with agents and I see two types of agents that try to build teams and fail. One is the guy that doesn't have the system ready. He doesn't know what he's doing yet. So how can you say, come and see what I'm doing? The second guy is the guy that won't give that away, right? I was with an agent in New York. I was worried about our live seminars in New York, Long Island to be exact. Because guys, the perception of the East Coast is not as friendly as the Midwest. I almost said the Middle East. It's not a friendly place. But the Midwest, it's kind of true. Like Philly, if you get on a subway and say, hey, buddy, how's it going today? You're going to get the third gun in your face, right?
Right.
Yeah,
right.
Exactly. And so I was worried about Long Island. Here's what I didn't know. Long Island is one big family. And it's the most, like if you've seen a movie about Long Island, you've seen Long Island. It's true. Like the first guy I met at a restaurant had his shirt unbuttoned down to here, big gold chain, hair coming out, and he's like, hey, how are you? Hugs. I'm like, are you on a set? What's going on? But I go up there and guys, I'm here to tell you the restaurant held 70. The first night we turned away 23 people. We talked in 3 meetings. We talked to almost 300 people. It was insane.
Wow, my gosh.
And the guy there, I'm like, dude, You need agents. Because
Yeah.
you just talk to three.
There's no way he can keep up with that
65,
immediately.
and he's like, I don't know, man. If I bring agents in, I'm going to lose business. I said, if you don't bring agents in, you're going to lose business.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's being ready, but then also being willing. And it is true. Nobody's going to do it like you do. It's hard to delegate. It really is, because there's not another Joe Campert out there. There's not another Tony Merwin out there. I'm getting pretty close, right? Like,
you're going to have to get some more hair.
I know, that's the only thing. I'm working on the back here so we can put it up, but it's we're getting there. Yeah.
I love that, man.
So
I think,
go ahead, Joe. Okay. Who is your ideal recruit then for what you're doing now in your current space?
That's a great question. My ideal recruit is somebody that is hungry and coachable and has a good image of themselves, that believes they can do it. Here's what I'm trying, and I was hoping we get to this. And your question didn't really ask this, but this is what I'm really hoping to get to today. I am sick and tired of people. I love this industry, right? I didn't mean to say I'm sick and tired of people. I went another direction, but I love this industry. This industry has given me more than I ever thought possible. I just bought my wife a new Jeep. I never thought I'd be able to do that, right? Like, I love this industry, right? And it's awesome. I'm going to the the Eagles Cowboys game Sunday night, right? It's given me opportunity. I get to meet great people. But the thing that I hate about this industry is the persona of you guys are right next to used car salesmen.
Well, why do you say you guys? You're one of us.
I know. Yeah.
Watching you.
Exactly.
Hey, man, you guys talking trash on that PNC, huh? I'm a PNC guy, right?
Yeah. But I started thinking about that. And then I started listening to my agents. And at first, anytime there's a persona, we always get mad at the people that are casting the persona.
Yeah.
When really we should be getting upset with the people that allow that to be cast. And I was sitting down, it clicked for me here a while back. I was sitting with one of our agents and he wanted to build a team. So I'm like, okay, let's jump on a call. And this dude is a phenomenal dude. His name is Justin. Okay. Justin Cantrell. You guys may know him. Great dude. I love the guy. I hope he's watching, because it's going to sound negative for a second, but then I'm going to get there. He sat down and I said, how many agents do you want? He said, I hope I can get 5. And something clicked in me. I'm like, okay, that's the first thing we got to fix. You don't hope anything. Justin Cantrell is an amazing dude that is figuring it out, that's writing annuities like crazy, knows how to sell. He's an awesome guy. Every time I'm around him, I like what I see. I get encouraged. Like when he walks in the room, I'm not faking it. Like I'm actually like, hi, hey, man, Justin's here. That's cool. I'm like, it is an honor and a privilege to work with Justin. The way you've got to look at it is not, I hope I can find 5. It's, I have 5 spots available for 5 people that I am going to change their lives. I am going to give them opportunity like they've never seen. But until we see it like that, nobody else is going to see it like that. If I've got to talk someone into being in the industry, Tony asked me, what's your ideal candidate? It's somebody that keeps calling me. Chris Thompson, I don't know who the dude is, but he's called me 4 times. And he's like, hey, I'm ready to go. That's my guy. If I've got to ask you twice, I don't want you. You got to want this more than I do. And until we change the perception of please, 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 please come work for me to, hey, I hope you make it to my team because I've got 3 spots and I'm going to change 3 people's lives. I'm going to make their wildest dreams come true. Right. Like, and we start holding 3 interviews instead of, hey, can you show up at 10? No. How about 11? No. Can I come see you? Right? Can I come to your place? No. Let me cheat you through the insurance exam. Let me do your AHIP for you. Let me get you going. No, stop it. No other business does that.
Right.
I tried to get on the highway patrol for years and I wasn't good enough. Now, let's not get my therapist has talked to me about that. But you see what I'm saying? Like, it was an honor and a privilege. Like, I opened that letter when I got the letter from the highway patrol, I opened it slow and I was begging God to read the words, congratulations, you have been man, every time I got the thank you for your interest, however, it killed me, man.
Right.
Like we got to start treating the insurance industry like that.
Yeah.
Right.
I was talking about
think,
this a couple of times in the last week or so that agents sit around and we bitch about the client and this is especially true in Medicare. We bitch about the client onboarding experience. And it's why Medicare's coming down on us with all of these, this bullshit that we have to do, right? It's because the client onboarding experience blows on a full arc. But we can't fix that if we don't truly learn how to first fix the agent onboarding experience in this industry.
Yeah, there's a reason AHIP is hard.
Yeah.
There's a reason you have to take a test to get in this industry. There's a reason that you got to study if you want to be the best at your craft. Everybody studies to be at the best of their craft, except us. We want it handed to us.
Right.
Make yourself a prize to work for. You know,
isn't that something that's hard? Because I know your heart, Dallas, and I know your heart for people. And this has always been like to my fault, right? It's honestly, it's part of why I went to Andy Elliott, right? Like, okay, don't get me wrong, I'm a yellow. You know, you talked about SWAT, and I love
yellow,
everybody,
blue,
man. I'm care emojis all day, right? But at the same time, like there's some, hey, like slap me around a little bit, wake up, stop being so soft type thing. And I think, you know, part of me and my heart for people is, dude, I always have a tendency of somehow I always end up wanting it more for them than they do themselves, right? And it's like that's always such a hard line to draw for me. But I think it's also super important to really understand that, hey, at the end of the day, even if you will it to happen, right, and you're on them and you're pushing them and you're pushing them, eventually, again, like you said, I mean, that's a flash in the pan, right? Because they ultimately they really don't want it. They have that used car salesman mentality, right? And the only reason they're doing it is because, you know, we lit a fire, and like when they're the ones that should have lit the fire themselves.
Yeah.
You know, I think that's a really good point. I wanted to also touch real quick too, because I think you dropped some gold when it comes to the power of delegation. I see it all the time, and I just wanted to go back and really highlight this. I hope you guys heard it, especially if, hey, I've been doing this for years. I can do it with my eyes closed. And then yet, you know, I've been seeing a lot in these forums where you're still a one man, one woman shop. Why?
Yeah.
Right. Like it's, I think it's part of that is, dude, there's never going to be another Joe, right? There's never going to be another Dallas. There's never going to be another Tony, which is good. The world doesn't, if we're being honest, the world doesn't need another freaking Joe Camper, right? Like there's only, but I also love that too. I think that goes back to your point of that used car salesman versus, hey, like it's you, right? And you're the professional. And I think, again, a lot of people struggle with building because they don't want to delegate, right? Or they see it where, man, I would have had this done in 30 minutes, and you watch somebody struggle through something for however much longer, right? But you'll never grow. You'll never scale without the people. I love that you said that. Hey, you want to make some money in your bank account, right? Sell some policies, but you want to triple your account, then like freaking build a team, right? And when you're ready, is when, guys, again, how many of us put in the comments if for the most part you could sell almost every single policy that you sell with your eyes closed, right? There's a lot of us in this group, but again, that's kind of my challenge to y'all is really think about what could you delegate out. You know, I love you said that too. Shout out Lily that we have behind scenes here, our producer. She's with Viva. Shout out Viva for our sponsor of the show. But really just, you never know how much you're really doing either, especially when you're working in a business, until sometimes I challenge y'all, write it down. And I'm like, damn, I didn't really realize I was doing all this, right? And so it's like being able to outsource, again, be the power of delegation, to where what that's done for all of our, you know, social media channels, and what it's done for the studio and or the live shows, all that good stuff. And I think that's super important. So I wanted to make sure people heard that, and I highlighted that. Here's my question to you, Dallas. Take us through. Okay, so you've got your ideal client, or excuse me, your ideal candidate. You got somebody like a Chris Thompson or whoever. Justin's like, okay, like let's go, right? And they know their stuff. What is, and again, this is maybe an impact question. This is maybe just what you've seen has worked for like the most successful agents that you've worked with, right? What's the system? It's like, hey, like that's when people come in, they're like, how are you going to put me in front of people? So we talked about seminars, like, holy shit, 300 people at a freaking, so obviously a seminar is part of it. What are some other things that are a part of a winning system, as we call it?
Well, it's really, and to go back to your point, one of my favorite things that I read was, I like how you said you got to read 20 pages a day. Does Facebook stuff, does that count? That's anytime? No, I love to read, man. I'm reading a book right now called The Gift of Influence. Just finished it. That was an amazing book, dude. You got to get that one.
The Gift of Influence?
The Gift of Influence, Tommy Spalding. But I read something by Jeff Bezos. Jeff Bezos said, I never hire anybody that's not better than me at something. Because he said, I've got Jeff Bezos. I don't need another Jeff Bezos. Brian Askins, I spent years trying to be Brian Askins. And guys, that's not an easy task. Brian Askins in 30 some years has never called in sick a day in his life. He's had shoulder surgery. If he has to have a surgery, he schedules it Friday afternoon so he can be at work on Monday, right? And people, every time I say that in an event, they applaud. I'm like, no, that's not a good thing. I got to work for that guy, right? And so I spent years trying to be that guy. And my therapist and I, like I said, we're working on that. But it hit me one day. He pulled me in his office and he said, man, Dallas, I wish I had your personality skills. And I'm like, the guy I'm trying to be and change myself to be like is over here saying he wishes he had something I had. And I'm like, how stupid is that? Like, why am I trying to be him? He's got him. We don't, that's like going out and having a 10 millimeter wrench in your toolbox and just going out and buying 10 more 10 millimeter wrenches. You got one. Go get somebody that's good at something you're not good at.
Right.
And I veered off your question, but
no, so the system. So it's like the seminars, the like, what else is a winning system?
I've got people doing different things. It's really finding your niche. Seminars are a great, great, great tool, but you heard Tony, what do you have to do in order to get in a seminar? You got to spend money. Like a seminar is going to cost you $3,000 to $5,000. And a lot of people, when they walk in the door, do not have $3,000 to $5,000, right? Rob Sevilla is one of our agents in Mississippi. Great guy. Love that dude.
Love Rob. Yep. Pastor Rob.
Medicare minister, right? Rob does not spend money on advert. Well, I say he doesn't. The majority of his stuff, he goes to food pantries and goes to food drives and he works those food drives. Aetna gives him a ton of like Germex and little toiletries, and he hands those out, and he's got a scope of appointment there where he says, hey, I would love to make sure you're getting the most from your Medicare. You on Medicare and Medicaid? Do you know that you can get this, 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 and this? And he'll schedule 30, 40 appointments at every food drive, right? That's what he does. I've got another guy, Rob Hodges. Rob Hodges, guys, I'm giving away all the secrets because there's nobody here today, and there's nobody here to tell me to stop. I'm in the new office. They're all over at the old office. Rob Hodges is a guy. He joined us in June. He's written over 1,200 applications since June.
My gosh.
This is a guy that failed, got into the restaurant business because he failed at insurance. He found a niche. Rob Hodges walks in 10 millimeters is a bad example. So yeah, that one's always disappearing. At least have 3 of those. Rob Hodges, boy, that's called ADHD right there in a nutshell, fellas. Rob Hodges is a guy, he walks into a business, he studies, and he finds businesses that are less than 50 employees. And he walks in and he goes to the human resource director and he says, how would you like to be out of the health insurance industry? And every one of them's like, oh my gosh, if I didn't have to mess with group health, I would stop going home and drinking myself to sleep every night, right? And then he tells them, on average, how many people do you have working here? 30. And I'm going to make up numbers, so bear with me. He'll say, I could save you in a 30-man group, I could save you $120,000 a year. And I could save your employee $800 a month. Are you interested? Yes. He goes in, he breaks down the group insurance. He goes and he puts all of them on ACA or other types of short-term health Medicare stuff. He goes in, he rewrites all of it. And then he says, by the way, I just saved you $400. Let's talk about your life insurance and your disability and your long-term care. And he averages 6 policies per home. And he's doing that over and over and over. And you talk about
1,200 apps since June, bro.
Yeah.
12, that's Josh Young's numbers right there, man.
Yeah,
I mean, my Lord.
I mean, he's killing
Crazy.
it. And so, but for the system for everybody is different. It's
when you're not everybody can reproduce that system.
Yeah. My daughter, right now, I'm encouraging you guys to watch. I'm about to put out a video with my daughter. My daughter works at a little coffee shop and she brought me her check. She goes, Dad, I just worked for 2 weeks and made $376. Now she works 15 hours a week after school and stuff like that. She goes, how long would it take me to make $376 in the insurance world? I said, well, here's the thing, babe. If you wrote a Medicare Advantage plan and you gave back half of the premium, you'd make about half of the income, you'd make about $376. I said, that's one, right? So she's getting in, but she wasn't motivated. And I don't want to be the guy that lives vicariously through her, right? Like I want it to be her thing. I'm making her pay for the test. I'm making her pay for the study material. It's got to be her thing. And so she was being lackadaisical, right? I don't know where she got it, but I went in last Saturday and I said, Shelby, get up. I said, let's go pick you out a car, because that's what she wants. She's driving a piece of junk Subaru. And I went down and we sat down, and I had my other daughter film it. So we're going to film everything from the beginning to her first policy.
Love that.
And we found a car. She sat down with the salesman and she said, okay, what would I need down? He said, for a $30,000 car, you need about $3,000. So now she wants to, by January 15th, buy a new car. So now she's studying.
Come on.
Yeah, now she's got a goal that's makes her hungry.
She's already asking me, Dad, how am I going to get in front of people? And I said, that's how I know you're going to make it. You're not asking me, Dad, what do I make? Well, how do I? She's asking, Dad, how do I get in front of people? And so her boyfriend is like working on ads. He's a computer guru, right? And so the jerk is finally doing something to benefit me. So it's just funny. It's finding you. And let me finish answering your question this way. Here's how you develop the system. Let me ask you this, Joe. If I told you, okay, next week you're going to Dallas, right? What are you going to do? The first thing you do when you're getting your car and you turn it on, what are you going to do?
I'll probably plug in the address.
Yep.
Yeah.
Why?
GPS.
Yep. Because
I gotta know where I'm going, right?
Somebody has been there before on that route, and they're going to show you the quickest way to get there.
Right.
You want a system, find somebody that's doing what you want to do and do what they do. That's it.
Yep.
Just emulate somebody that's doing what you want to do.
Well, I love that you said that, because it goes back to it's kind of like when I talk about like social media and Facebook, like when people are like, there's not I can't find any group or what. I'm like, man, there is a group for everything, right? It's literally, it's even a freaking commercial, right? Like I promise you, there is a group out there that you can find, right? And it's kind of the same thing when it comes to us as, again, the systems that maybe Dallas provides or Tony provides or Joe provides. Now, that's maybe a poor example because we operate very different systems, but hey, maybe they're complementary to each other.
But that's okay.
But it's more of, hey, go find what works for you. Go find, again, that system that you want to plug in. Now, and I guess that's kind of my point too. Do your due diligence.
Yep.
Right. Like I think that's the other thing, Dallas. You talked about people being burned out, and don't get me wrong. There's some shitty, uplines and IMOs and all that stuff out there, right? That really, again, I hate to see that too. It happens a lot on the PNC side where somebody signs on a dotted line and then turns out, man, too late, you already signed. So now it's like, what do I do, right? And I think that is also my encouragement to, especially a new agent, do your due diligence. Tony was just talking about all this yesterday on Tuesday training about contracts and like knowing what you're signing and who you're signing up with. I wanted to actually I'm going to read this. I'm going to read this because this is Andy Elliott was talking about this in Dallas. I think you're the perfect representation of this is that, and this goes for clients and this also goes for agents. I mean, across the board, but it's trust versus contracts, right? Like, don't get me wrong. The contracts are important, but like you need to trust, like truly trust who you're getting into business with and who you're working with.
Verify.
Trust but verify.
Right.
Absolutely, man. You can trust them is one thing. How do you create trust? With knowing what the hell is in that contract.
Yep.
Right.
And everybody's
you have to hire a lawyer.
I mean,
if you have to hire a lawyer to read a contract, that's sometimes the first red flag for me, guys. Like, I mean, don't get me wrong, you're getting into like a franchise type of thing, maybe have somebody review it, right? But it's like, or if like I hate NDAs. I'm like, dude, my contract is my contract. Like when somebody like, hey, can you sign this NDA first? I'm like, okay, I got to sign an NDA to even look at this thing. Like
it's that good.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. I mean, I'm all about trust. I love this industry and I love making verbal deals with people and handshake types agreements. And that's all trust, but someone can easily violate that. And it's happened. It's happened to me. It's probably happened to you and many of you listening. Man, this is a contractual business. Don't be afraid of contracts. Use them to your advantage and use them to create trust. If everybody's in agreement that, hey, we're cool, we're going to sign this NDA together, we're going to sign this contract together, we know exactly what's in it, we've both gone through it, there's no surprises, there's no weird fine print.
Yep.
And boom, now I've got a relationship that not only can I trust him face to face, but I can trust them on paper as well. And then maybe next time we won't need such a grueling contract or something like that. But
well, people ask me all the time, Dallas, if you were looking for a new FMO, what questions would you ask? My first question is, who pays me? Right?
yeah,
Because if I get paid, if I'm working for Joe, guys, listen here. If you don't hear anything else, listen to this. If I'm working for Joe and I write a policy with Humana or whomever, and Humana pays Joe and Joe pays me, Joe owns the business.
yep.
And he can tell you all day, every day. All day, every day. No, you own the business. No, you don't. You do not. And if you leave, the business stays there.
I didn't even know that.
Yep.
Yeah, there are some minor exceptions to that, but that is
Minor.
the baseline truth. The other minors would be if there is a side contract deal.
Yep.
I talked about this yesterday. I was like, don't ever sign an LOA agreement with the carrier unless there's a side contract between you and the guy administering your pay that you're on board with.
Now, we have LOAs. We have an
Absolutely.
LOA program, but we make it very, very clear. We own the business. And we give them a way that they can own the business later. And it's in the contract, but we make it very clear. But guys, I just talked to a lady. She's been in the business for 4 years. She has around 3,000 clients, which is amazing. Great.
Yeah.
She built it very quickly. And she's like, Dallas, I'm ready to leave. And, I need to, I've reached my ceiling here and I'm ready to come with you guys and all this stuff. And I said, who owns your business? She said, I do. 100% I do. I said, who pays you? She said, well, they just cut me a check out of the thing. I said, you don't own your business. And she goes, no, I do. I said, go talk to them and come back to me. She came back. She goes, Dallas, they own my business. And they said, I'm free to leave at any time.
Of course.
And I will be back at 0.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's stay here for a second.
I'm going to keep all your money.
What would be your advice on that? Right, like I have another agent that I know personally, and I would love for her to be with Redwood. Now, this is on the PNC side, and it's obviously a little bit different, but it's like, I mean, in order for her to leave where she's at, like on the PNC side, it's either hey, the lump sum up front, or maybe not much up front, but then the monthly fees, or it's hey, maybe there's nothing up front, you got monthly fees, and then it's the buyout in order to move anywhere, right? So it's like, in order for her to move, it's like $97,000. And I'm like, at that point, it's kind of, it's like, and she's like, I'm good, I'll pay it. And I'm like, at that point, like, I feel bad even saying, come on board, because it's like, you're talking over 6 figures just to make a move. So when you got somebody that's, man, I've got 3,000 clients tied up, what do you tell them to do, Dallas? Like, what's your advice on that? Just hang through it?
Well, it's up to them. Number one, do not fight them. They know what they're doing. A lot of people spend a lot of time. I've got agents that are still trying to sue XYZ agency. I'm like, listen, they have more lawyers than you have clients. Stop. Right? So just stop. Number 2, look at the positive you've gained. This lady learned how to sell, obviously, very, very well.
Right.
You got, like, I could look back when I left Mutual of Omaha after 13 years, I had 0 clients. They own them all, right? And I could sit here and be pissed and groan and, all that stuff. But that's their hammer drill over there. That's me. But I could be, my motto for 2024 is accept the things I can, or change the things I can, accept the things I can't. Because I spend a lot of time trying to change things that I can't change, and bitching and moaning is just ruining my life, right? So 1, don't fight it. 2, realize what you did get. You got an education. Mutual of Omaha gave me an education. They sent me on trips. I got to meet great people. There was a lot of good that came from it. But then number 3, decide, are you willing to start from 0? Like, what are your big goals? Your big goals should determine your actions. So if my goal is to build something, then yes, I've got to start from 0. If it's not, if you're like, you know what, like what she's probably going to do, she makes a great salary there. Now, I told her, go back and bluff. Tell them you're leaving. They're losing a 3,000 app producer. Tell them you're leaving and ask them, hey, is there a way that I can start to earn some of this or something, like negotiate, but just determine, are you willing to start from 0? Do you believe in yourself enough? I'm always going to bet on me, but do you believe in yourself enough to start over and build something, take what you've learned, or do you need to stay where you're at and make it better? The problem is there's no easy answer.
Right.
It's tough. Yeah. And it's kind of, I hate seeing it, but at the same time, it's like kind of what to your point. I mean, in 4 years, you have 3,000 apps. Okay, obviously, it wasn't a bad for however many years,
yeah.
right? So I think that's a really good point. Right. I mean, yeah, you're thinking on, and I don't even really know y'all's pay structure like that, but I'm thinking of the renewals and what Tony's explained to me probably 1,000 different times. But that seems like a nice little living, man.
Yeah, she's doing right.
And so, I guess with this, Dallas, I want to kind of, guys, we're going to wrap up here in a second, but I want to kind of ask you this, right? So you said 5,000 agents, right? Like you're trying to get to 5,000. Now, is that whatever. I want to ask you that, but how do you go from 2,500 to 5,000, right? Like we've talked about the systems, we've talked about the candidates, we've talked about building teams, we've talked about, hell, now we just got into contracts and all that stuff, right? And how do you take an organization from 2,500 agents? Dude, I've got like 100 agents and it's like fucking whew, right? And I know we're in a different ballgame, but still, dude, 2,500 agents is no freaking joke, right? How does an agency, or an organization, how do you go from 2,500 to 5,000? Like, how do you double like that, right? What is it to you?
First of all, you have a dumbass that throws out numbers without planning, right? That may be a 1 year, 2 year, 3 year goal. I don't know. I want to see us at 5,000 next year. I told you I'd rather have an STD than a spreadsheet, right? Secondly, you've got to provide the value that will bring the people, and then you got to figure out a way to show people the value. One of the things I said earlier is I have the easiest job in the world. I just go out and I tell people, hey, come see what we're doing. Come look at what we're doing. Right. What we've done, and again, I don't know if I should share it, but here we are. What we do is we have, of course, several different tools that reach out to people. We've got our website, we've got our agents and all that stuff, and we reach out to people throughout the week. And I have a pipeline that brings them all in. We use Go High Level. Tommy Graziano, man, has built our pipeline. That dude, like, we look alike, and that's it. That's the only similarity we have, because Tommy loves him some spreadsheets. But he's built us a Go High Level system where everything we do pushes them to, on Thursday nights, we have what's called Meet the Partners. And it's a live webinar where I host it, and we'll have 10, 20, 30 people on every Thursday night. And I'm just showing them this is what impact is. So we have a system, man, word of the day, right? We have a system that pushes them to that. They watch that, and then we follow up with them. And that's how we build. But the key to building is having teams underneath you, team leaders. We have team leaders like a Gabriel Tovar. You know how easy it is to introduce people to Gabe Tovar?
No kidding, man.
He's the man,
dude.
I just say, everybody's like, Dallas, you're a master, you're a master, recruiter. I'm like, guys, hey, listen, Bob, here's Gabe. Gabe, this is Bob. Go.
Rest is history. Right.
If I show Gabe enough value and give him the tools, give him everything he needs to be successful, then he builds.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And I take all the credit.
But if we're being honest, though, you go find 10 Gabe, and I say go find 10 Gabes as in like go find basically 10 people trying to build, because you probably, again, to our point earlier, you'll never find another Gabe Tovar. That's for damn sure. That guy and just his people and their operation, man, it's so slick. I love the loyalty that he's been able to build. And I think that's the other thing, and I want to give you a hand clap on this, Dallas, as we start to close out here, man, is that, loyalty is also very rewarding as well, and kind of hats off to you for, literally sticking by, Brian's side, and obviously even through the transition from Secure to Impact and all that stuff. 22 years with the same person, man, is pretty freaking incredible, man. It's awesome. And honestly, it goes back to even like what you said with Brian, man. That dude is unlike anybody I've ever freaking met. Like going out to the freaking his barge story to go like where he's like going to like taking a boat to the barge to go get this app signed and then go take it and deliver before the cutoff date so he could get the first place. The work and going back to, it's everything we talked about earlier too, is like that work ethic, man.
Well, yesterday, crazy. Brian and I moved 15 desks and we vacuumed 18,000 square feet. because the carpet cleaners were going to be here and they thought the carpets would be clean before they got here. Right. So we grabbed a vacuum. I got to give it up. The dude's out there and, he's put the CEO of the company is pushing a vacuum around and carrying desk. And
love that.
Patty, to give it, a lot of people know Patty is going through her second round of cancer. Right now she's in chemo. Patty had chemo last Thursday. Yesterday she was in here vacuuming until I'm like, Patty, stop, go home.
Right. Right.
It's just, and they've instilled that. You see that flow down to their sons and their daughters. Yep. And, it's just, and so somebody said years ago, and I really got upset at first. They said, man, you're just riding the Askins coattail. And then I was like, you know what? Yeah. I prefer to think of it as I'm linking arms and moving forward. But you want to be successful, find somebody that's doing it and do what they do.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's good stuff.
This has been fun. This says we've been on here an hour. There's no way.
I know it's come by quick. We could easily sit here and chat it up with you for another hour.
I don't know if there's anybody left listening or whatever, but hell, let's just.
There has been the whole show, man. It's been
What do you
awesome,
got going
Thank
on?
you.
What do you got going on for Christmas? Anything special?
So my sister moved to Memphis. Now, she told us she was moving to Memphis, right? And then she called me and said she couldn't find a job in Memphis. And my sister's got her master's degree. I'm like, you can't find a job in Memphis? I said, babe, there's thousands and thousands of jobs in Memphis. She said, no, Memphis, Missouri. And I'm like, you lead with that, right?
Right.
So, there is a Memphis, Missouri. It's about 10 miles from Iowa. So we're going to Memphis, celebrating with her, driving. I've got to use the GPS. And it's one of those that you got to set it before you get there because they don't have GPS up there yet.
Right.
Al Gore hasn't invented the internet up there. And so we're going to go up there for Christmas and just spend some time with them and enjoy the kids, man, and just enjoy family.
Yep.
Right on. What kind of Jeep did you get for your wife?
I got her the FXE. It's the new electric Wrangler Rubicon.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah.
Very
so that's
nice.
why I got to work. I got to pay for that.
All right.
Oh, it's nice.
No, I'm with you. I just bought my wife a brand new Grand Cherokee. So
beautiful.
We're in the same. We're in the same. We got her back against the same wall, I should say.
She's upset with me because I ordered her license plate and it says SXE 4XE. And my wife is a very humble person. She doesn't want to be driving around in a sexy 4XE, but that was my one stimulation.
That's awesome.
Stipulation.
He's like, let me clarify that. I love that, man. Dude, thank you so much.
Yeah, before we let you get out of here.
Yeah.
How do people find Dallas Keithley? Somebody wants to talk to you. They want to pull your chain, talk to you a little bit, maybe see if there's some opportunity.
My name, Dallas.Keithley, Keithley, Dallas.Keithley at impactlegacygroup.com.
Easy enough. And obviously you're also on Facebook. We can
all
look
the
you up there as
socials.
well.
Yeah.
Cool, brother. Well, man, I love you. I appreciate you coming by to take time. This has been fantastic. Thank you,
Tony.
so much.
I miss us, buddy. I've got the massage oils, everything. You just tell me.
Absolutely.
Let's do it.
I'm ready, dude.
Let's get weird.
I think we got about 6 days away from that. So
let's do it.
I'll be seeing you soon. Well, man, thank you guys for tuning in. It's been another great Winning on Wednesday. We're here every Wednesday, 9 a.m. We do it live. That's how we do it. It's the peak of the week. It's 2 days away from the end of AEP. Doesn't mean you get to slow down. It's time to throttle down. And we'll see you guys next week for Winning on Wednesday. Come on.
Right.
Thank you.
It's
guys.
the peak of the week, y'all. Don't slow down, right? And that's, as Dallas said, you got to master something. And the number one of the main reason that agents fail is because they don't have a system. So if you don't have a system, now is your challenge. Now is your encouragement to find a system, implement a system, whatever that might be. Go find somebody that's doing it and has what you want and do what they do, and you'll get what they have, right? So I appreciate you, Dallas. Hope everybody has an amazing rest of your Wednesday, amazing rest of your week. We'll see you guys next week.
Love
Later.
you. Peace.